Hi, I'm Jill. I'm 32. I've completed 102 hours in the EE system. A lot of things, but I'm a healer. So I teach healing and facilitation of soul guidance, essentially. I started teaching Reiki. And then as I progressed in my skill set, I moved more into shamanic teachings and more refined teachings. So I run a healing school now. And privately, I work with people often on their soul path and their soul pull and the purpose of why they came back and how their traumas relate to that. So I work with people who have struggled with patterns of abuse and illness, addiction. I help them decipher the soul lessons. And then from that place, once they understand from a bigger picture, I help them shift the pattern for radiant health, sovereignty, and empowerment. And I also teach manifestation, the energetics of the universe, abundance, etc. So before the EE system, my biggest challenge was a weak nervous system. I was able to have a certain level of capacity to run my business. I juggle a lot. As I said, I have about 9 online courses and I teach and I facilitate and I run retreats. It was a lot. And I also manage a team, 2 teams actually. So my nervous system was the biggest thing holding me back from my next level. Our capacity of our nervous system is the capacity that we have in life. And I was feeling very fatigued because of that. Also, I channel a lot of energies, and the more I channel, it takes a toll on the nervous system. So I felt capped in terms of the number of clients I could take, the number of courses that I could design, and the things that I could do, the number of students that I could teach as well. Another thing I was really struggling with was high cortisol levels and adrenal fatigue. They were very high, 4.5 out of 5 in my blood analysis, which is not good for your health. So I'd go between really high anxiety, which affected my focus, or I would be high focus, but just like a lot of energy sometimes. And my nervous system got to a point because I was doing so much that it started shaking. And I always felt like there was some unconscious threat around the corner, and it was exhausting. So I was exhausted all the time. It affected my creativity and my ability, again, to run my business in a sustainable way. It was very big jolts of like energy, launch, and then I would crash, which again was unsustainable. And my soul was showing me that in what was going on with this like fatigue cycle. There was many times in my business that I wanted to quit because I was just exhausted. And I'm like, I'm going back to the 9 to 5. It's easier. Really didn't want to do that. And I didn't. But that's a big, big, big thing that I had struggled with for a long, long time was my capacity, because I've had a lot of trauma in my life and I've healed a lot of it. But when we have a lot of trauma, it weakens the nervous system. I struggled with lack of boundaries a lot. I was unable to put proper boundaries with my family, friends, clients, the whole shebang. It was really hard for me to say no. And every time I did, it drained my energy and created like conscious resentment. And anytime I did, to even just say no drained my energy, because I would go into this trauma pattern and think something bad was going to happen to me. And this mirrored in my life because other people obviously weren't honoring my boundaries because I never had any. And so in all types of relationships, I was taken for granted a lot, with my students, with my clients, with friends, with a past partner. And so that has very much shifted with this. But yeah, lack of boundaries was another one. I had really bad gut issues. I was hearing a lot of guilt in my sacral. Again, guilt for saying no. I was trying to save the whole world without allowing them to go through their initiations. And anytime I did say no, I would feel guilt for honoring myself. And then I would get very stressed because people would get angry and so forth. And this further manifested in digestive issues. Anytime I would eat basically anything of substance, my stomach would hurt and like debilitating pain. Like I'd be on the couch for like 2 hours after I ate, like in a ball. Even sometimes just like an apple would hurt my gut, which is bonkers. And that was a combination of inflammation and, again, lack of boundaries, guilt, thinking I needed to save everybody. And so that was mirrored in my reality until I shifted it. I had low amounts of joy in my life, which is weird because I'm a very joyful, upbeat person. But because I was in fight and flight and stress and it was affecting my nervous system, it's like I couldn't experience joy or higher emotions because I was always so drained. Okay, so right before I signed up for the pilot project, I'd gone through a big breakup and it was intense. I was processing a lot of grief 2 times over because in some ways it was a very abusive relationship emotionally, and I didn't realize that. So I went through the whole cycle of grief, and then I saw the truth of it and went through a whole cycle of grief of what I had created this person to be, which again mirrored all these other things that I was talking about. It was very depleting and it took a lot of my energy. And so kind of because of that, I also had short-lived amounts of energy. I'm also a projector in human design. So I get spurts of energy. I'm only actually supposed to ideally work 2 to 3 hours a day with a very focused energy. It's very potent, but then I would be like completely depleted for the rest of my day, which meant I couldn't get the expansion in my business and in my own healing to the depth I desired because of low energy. For anybody who knows about processing grief or trauma or any dense emotion like shame, guilt, it requires a lot of energy to process these. So yeah, that's kind of where I was before. I wanted a free 2-hour event on a Hatha event in Vancouver. And that brought me to my first session, which was so synchronistic because it was literally the only thing at that event that I put my email down for. I was like, maybe I'll win it. And I did. And it was divine synchronicity. Yeah, so the first time I came, I was like, whoa, that was like a quantum meditation. So I do a lot of these. As I said, I'm an energy healer practitioner, trained in many types of energy healing and clinical healing as well. And it literally felt like that, but amplified. It was like I was on another planet and it just recharged me on such a deep level. It was like the first time that I could just like actually relax in my nervous system in a long time. Again, I was in the middle of a big breakup and seeing a lot of deception and lies that I wasn't aware of until after. So it just allowed me to just recharge and like plug into that energy source again. Right away, I noticed a lot more inner peace and calmness and focus. It also helped my intuition a lot, which I greatly value. Intuition is so key to everything. I had downloads during the session, after the session, and I felt a lot sharper in it and was able to track things way more clearly because of I train in intuition as well. And it's one of the things I use to help people heal on the core level and learn the soul lessons. But it was a lot more clarity and sharpness in those sessions, or even just for myself and my own healing and my own creation and manifestation. Intuition. Dee sent an invite for people to join in August 2024. I was in Sedona at the time. I specifically remember it was my intuition. I didn't really have a reason logically, but it was a soul calling and I trusted that. Whenever I trust my intuition, things work out. Whenever I don't trust it, things don't work out very well. And I learned a lot. But then logically I supported it with, oh, I didn't realize it helped with strengthening the nervous system and, healing and all of these things. And I already knew because I have studied the nervous system for years that that was the biggest thing holding me back from my next level and like really my capacity. And then also my chronic gut issues was another reason. They were, again, sometimes debilitating, and I really like good food. So it was very sad that I would feel like so much pain after eating. So I joined the pilot program from September to December 2024. I completed about 102 hours over the 3 months. That included 2 live blood analysis, which were powerful, illuminating, one-on-one health coaching, health and lifestyle training workshop, and 3 overnight sessions. Overnight sessions are my absolute favorite, like game changer. So the biggest result I received was rapid clearing from my energy field. So as I said, I had gone through this big breakup. It was intertwined with a lot of things in my life. And I was working with 2 mentors outside of this as well, which they supplemented each other. So basically they were like, you got to get rid of some of these people. Like the truth was revealing itself and I was very hesitant. But when I was in the system, I noticed like it gave me this other perception, like a higher perception. It was almost like I was looking down on myself. So every single time I was there, I just used it to like clear things out of my field, and it just amplified the clearing. And I was able to see things from this greater perspective. It cleared the fear of the people and things I was afraid to let go go of that was really not serving me, and I feel like a different person. The things that weren't honoring me, that were abusive, sometimes subtle, manipulative ways, and sometimes very in my face that I didn't want to acknowledge. And it allowed me to get recharged and honor myself instead of just serving other people. So through the clearing, I was able to start clearing many of my gut issues as well. That kind of came secondary to the other stuff because we carry safety in our gut. So if we don't feel safe, we have people in our life that are using and abusing us, and we're allowing that, then we're not going to feel safe. So that came as a result of the clearing, but then also my body could heal itself because I came back to homeostasis. In addition to this, Susanna, the live blood analysis, also recommended some supplements to help take care of the gut inflammation, which also accelerating the healing process. The second thing was a stronger nervous system. This was bomb because, as I said, I like to do a lot. I'm a Capricorn, and I was getting a bit frustrated because I was like, my capacity is capped right now. And I knew it was my nervous system. So the scalar frequency, they help strengthen our nervous system field. And I noticed each month my nervous system became stronger and stronger. And because I had a stronger nervous system, I wasn't getting stuck or bogged down by challenges and initiations, which are just part of life and business, etc. And they would kind of sometimes take me out for a bit before. And now I was just able to like go through them and handle them because of my nervous system. And then my capacity at work increased significantly. And I used to only be able to launch one program and then run the full thing and then pre-launch another one, launch it, run it. And I would need a lot of recovery time between programs. And now with a stronger nervous system, I can run a program and launch another one simultaneously while still working on the program I launched. So it's just radically increased my capacity in that way. One example of the increased capacity. And also I would kind of compartmentalize my life. I would be like, oh, I don't have time to see friends, or I don't have time to invest in my health or go to the gym or whatever. Well, I actually work out every day, but I would like shorten them, or just other parts of my life I would not focus on, which is not good for our EMF field, our creator field. And our soul will let us know in ways of other areas that we care about that we're unbalanced. So it's not good to ignore any part of your life, whether it's friendships, family, health, fitness, vocation. And I was definitely compartmentalizing and being like, oh, I can only focus on work. And that's changed because I have greater capacity. I'm not exhausted at the end of my work days. Also, my business is a lot more organized now. It was just controlled chaos before. And then the final thing, my anxiety levels were probably a 9 out of 10 before, which showed on the blood tests with my cortisol levels being obnoxiously high, especially for my age. So I really struggled with anxiety and panic attacks my whole life. And I'd done a lot of internal work. So I didn't have the panic attacks anymore. And I looked very calm, but still like internally, the energy was still kind of chaotic. So other people would perceive me as so calm and grounded, but inside it was like chaos. And so after the pilot program, I used to be 95% anxious all the time. I wake up, look at my phone, get anxious right away, all these emails, people to respond to, all my clients, like it was just a lot, which affected my business because then I didn't want to actually take on clients because that equated to burnout. And so what kind of shifted was like, oh, I need to prioritize me. I need to take care of me. And then I can show up more powerfully for my clients. And, they can wait a few hours for a response. And it's allowed me to bring in clients that deeply respect me and honor me and my gifts and my skills. Was not always the case. Well, I'm always in my zone of genius when I'm on the calls and I don't feel anxious then, but like when I would do back-end work for my business, i.e. like operational digital tasks, my anxiety would skyrocket. And so now, because my anxiety levels have dropped to about like 3 to 10, depending on the day, the time, and my nervous system expansion has expanded and strengthened, and clearing my energy field of all that does not serve me and rewiring my beliefs. I did a lot of belief rewiring in the EESystem, which is one of the tools I do with my clients, but I used the tools myself and the energy there and me being in homeostasis to rewire some powerful beliefs and to really do an inventory on what needed healing within myself and to go do what I needed to do to heal that, whether it was in the session and just releases, allowing myself to cry, or some days I would just have tears, or outside somatic work of the sessions. But now I can do operational tasks and digital tasks like pretty well. I even learned to write code on my website. And I had a big lesson in my business because I outsourced a lot of this stuff for like way more than I should have paid. Apparently, I learned in retrospect. And then I learned, oh, I can do this myself and I can train somebody on this and actually, pay them an appropriate amount, which yes, I could have learned earlier, but my anxiety from computers literally was debilitating. So I was prepared to pay whatever. And that drastically affected the profit margins of the business for a while, not in a good way. So it was all from anxiety and trauma. And then once I was more grounded and regulated, then I could learn these new tasks. My intuition discernment got radically stronger. My anxiety and emotional regulation and intuition, like they're all interlinked. So when I'm calm and less anxious, it's so much easier to access clarity, intuition, discernment. And 90% of my friend circle shifted once my discernment kicked in. I realized I was calling in these anxious attachment friends and friendships and compromising my self-worth, my values, what was true to me, so people would like me, and all of that has shifted. I don't do that anymore. And all the people that no longer align, they just fell out. So I was able to see I'm not available for any more trauma bonds, manipulation, codependency, draining relationships, martyr energy, not available for it. I had so many leeches in my life. They were leeching off my life force energy. And I mean, like, I'm using that as an analogy, but people that just wanted all my time, all my energy, and there was no reciprocation. So during the pilot program, I was able to discern and see who these people were and the relationships that were unaligned. Yeah. And so 90% of my circle shifted, which is significant because I have the best people in my life now. The best, like they're so amazing. The friendships that I've created and even collaborations in my business with really, really awesome people. So it's happened in a really quick timeline within 3 months. And being in high frequency energies like the EESystem, scalar frequencies, they can help people see things on a very short timeline and rapid changes quickly because we're an energetic match to everything. So we can shift that energetically, our whole life shifts. And it just allowed me to amplify that and then also forced me to do it myself because I help clients do this all the time. But it's important to also do this yourself if you're a teacher, a healer, etc. My cortisol levels lowered a lot and my adrenal fatigue has diminished a lot because of the higher coherent energy in the body. As the E systems like coded my body and energy fields, we become what we're around. So when you're in the high frequency, the EE system, you're going to get coded to that high frequency. So like I said, these levels were at 4.5 out of 5. They went down to 1.5 out of 5 after the program in the live blood analysis. The impact of this was more coherent and the energy is so much more sustainable throughout the day. I also have higher levels of creativity and I'm a lot more grounded, definitely more boundaried, as I said. And I was able to build a strong foundation in my business versus working from fight and flight and things fluctuating so much and feast and famine energy cycles in my business. It was not the vibe. So having coherent energy in my body and my fields really manifested in this way of more sustainability in my outside world. Even in my friendships, I was in a lot of like my past friendships were fight and flight, like I said, and which is not healthy. So when I started the pilot project, my levels of sustainable energy were like 3.5 out of 10. And now, depending on the day, obviously, they can go as high as 8 out of 10. I started developing sustainable levels of energy where I was crashing far less throughout the day or week, which used to happen literally every day, 3 p.m. crash in bed napping. So now that's not necessary because my energy is way more coherent and grounded and sustainable. And it's helping me really nurture my business and my pet, obviously you see here, and my new relationships, and most importantly, myself. So people don't realize that we need coherent energy to nurture our family or friendships or business or pets, like literally everything in our life. If we are not in coherence, if we're not grounded, we can't be present. We can't nurture. We're just all of the time in fear, fight, flight, fawn response. I was in fawn a lot. Thus, those past friendships reflected those. For anybody who doesn't know, like those are the main trauma responses. Fight, if you're always like fighting people, or if you're in flight, you just want to like run away. Fawn, you're just people pleasing all the time. And freeze, you're always procrastinating. Like those are trauma responses. That comes from a dysregulated nervous system. So the reason that those shifted a lot was because my nervous system was able to handle more. I actually had to go deal with the things. It wasn't like the E system was magic and everything just was sunshine and butterflies. No, I had to deal with them, but it gave me the power and groundedness and the regulation to deal with them and have the courage to walk through them. So as I said, I also have a lot better boundaries now. I can focus a lot more and much deeper for longer periods of time. I have a lot more life force energy, and my clients and students have benefited a lot from this because they can feel that my energy is more potent. And when I'm more potent and focused, I can help them more deeply shift at a much more rapid pace. And they get to benefit too, because when they're in my energy field, whether it's over Zoom or in person, clients all over the world, but it doesn't, like, time doesn't exist in terms of energy. So they're also getting coded by the higher frequencies that I got coded to. And yeah, I don't feel guilty for saying no anymore, which is helping my energy be a lot more potent. My boundaries have helped my intuition a lot as well. My mentor, two of them, were always saying I was overgiving, like, you got to stop this fawn response, but I literally couldn't, because I felt like I didn't have the power and energy to do that. And when I started holding the boundaries and saying no, I got out of that fawn response. So I'm now able to structure my business so that we can scale in a sustainable way. And I also have the capacity to do this. So we've been putting a lot of systems and structures in place. And in the past, scaling meant like energy drainage for me. So I was like, no, thank you. And I had so many energy leaks and energy drains because I had no boundaries. Everything shifted since I instilled these boundaries, and I have a lot more energy and capacity that's not just going out dispersing everywhere. People also respect me more because I actually have boundaries, and they didn't on an unconscious level, which would manifest in certain behaviors before, because I didn't have boundaries and I wasn't respecting myself, my time, my energy. So I would have clients all the time showing up late or forgetting about sessions, and that never happens anymore. And the other thing I want to say about this, like, boundaries are energetic. So it doesn't matter what we say to like actually instill the boundary in our EMF field or electromagnetic fields, which is what people are reading, feeling energetically and responding. For example, if I say no, going to go to a party that doesn't feel aligned, or because I need that time for me, and then I go anyways, then I'm not energetically upholding the boundary. They can feel our energy field. They're like, oh, I can take advantage of them. This is the translation, because they don't respect themselves. People can literally feel this. So they're just responding to our energy always. And so as I respected myself more, I taught people how to treat me. And it was such a significant time, because I had been in this relationship that I used to have stronger boundaries and I used to respect myself, but then I got pulled into this certain relationship because of a trauma, and every area of my life, and I mean every area, financial, business, friendships, they all got affected because it was an emotionally abusive relationship. And so that literally negatively affected every single area of my life. And slowly I started not having any boundaries at all. And so I had to rebuild the strength and more that I had before this. I unfortunately, but also fortunately, because I learned a lot, entered this type of relationship. It just taught me the power of this and the power of energy, because I was thriving before it, and then it dipped because it affected my energy field. And so our energy field, as I said, is everything. So the EE system helped me get back to even stronger than I was before going through this experience. My gut's a lot healthier as well, and I have less guilt, which has helped my gut issues a ton. I don't feel like I need to take care of everybody all the time anymore, that I'm just like the rock for everybody's life and I can't like take care of me. Of course, I still am there for a lot of people, definitely my clients, my close friends, etc., but in a healthy way, not a trauma response way. So the pain before was like a 9 to 10 at its worst, and now it's like a 4.5 to 10 at its worst. I'm still carrying some guilt and shame. I still want to, save the world, but from a healthier place. And we're still working on some layers of that, of the savior energy, because it actually doesn't help anybody. And there's still like some shame because I didn't have discernment through that experience that I went through right before the EE system, but we're transmuting that a lot. I think I've actually transmuted that a ton. There's a little bit more. Higher levels of joy, like feeling source and God's presence when I'm walking outside or running with my dog, or just even here sitting with my dog talking, like I can feel that presence of source, just not my joy and inner freedom. And that's also created the energetic of freedom in my external reality, which is super cool. And sometimes I just walk outside and just like cry tears of gratitude, a lot greater range of emotions. So even when I was in the sadness of deep process, because I had the energetic support and the nervous system support, I was able to see a beauty in that sadness, a beauty in that grief. And emotions are energy in motion, literally, the word says it. So by allowing myself to be able to process them, which came from an unkinked, like energetic hose in my energy field, aka nervous system, when you feel emotions fully, it's not blocking your energy. It can flow through, you can process it, and it helps you grow and expand. I basically, if I were to say this in another way, like liberated trapped energy, and now it's freed up to do something with, to create with, to manifest with, etc. Yes, 100%. I say if you feel the call, firstly, that's your soul. That's your soul communicating with you and your intuition. So trust that. I didn't have a reason when I first did it. And then I supported my intuition with reasoning, but it was really that pull, and you don't know what you don't know. So it helped me through such a tough period of my life, and I became so much stronger. And I don't know if I would have been able to process that level of grief and depth and sadness without this support of the EE system. So one of the biggest setbacks I find, and I mentor people in this, so I've seen it a lot, speaking from experience, but in the healing system and in scaling businesses, whether it's on whatever sort of entrepreneur you are, is depletion and burnout and not filling our own cup first. When you don't do, or when we don't do our work first and serve from that place, if you're a healer or if just an entrepreneur, like creating and building from that place, then we will burn out. And then the business suffers, everything suffers, our health, our relationships, everything. So everything starts from that flow. And the amount of life force energy and strength of our nervous system determines our success. Our capacity of our nervous system determines our capacity to manifest. And we cannot create what we can't hold. So if we can't hold it energetically, if our nervous system doesn't have the strength and the coding to do that, we won't be able to manifest it, or it'll be fleeting, it'll come in and out. We won't be able to hold it. So it's really helped me increase my life force energy and nervous system strength. And yeah, this is why I recommend it to other healers and entrepreneurs. Fill your own cup first so that you can help others. Because even if you're an entrepreneur and you're like, I'm not a healer, doesn't matter. You're still providing a service and or a product to other people. You're kind of the pipeline. Our business is just an extension of our energy field, our creator fields or EMF fields, all the same thing. So if your energy is depleted, that's going to deplete the energy of the business. I have a good friend, Kat Norton, and she has built a wildly successful business. She always says, I don't work on the business, I work on me and I work on my nervous system. And when I say wildly successful, I mean wildly successful. And so I realized that the business is just an extension of herself. And I've had this experience like so drastically, so many times. When I'm thriving in my energy, my business is thriving. But if I'm depleted, the business is depleted and it suffers financially. So take care of you, make sure you're nurturing you so that you can go and serve and nurture others, whether it's through a product-based business, a service-based business, a healer, etc. It is one of the biggest things I've seen with students too, them not taking care of themselves. And as I said, I've been guilty of it as well. You can't build a successful or sustainable business in that way, and you actually can't help people sustainably in that way. So yes, I do recommend it. If you feel the call, definitely trust that. Even if you don't know the why yet, it will reveal.